You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Thanks for joining us again for a Locked On Texas Tech special edition, where we step outside the confines of the 806 Big 12 weekly time. And some of this even a little bit bigger picture than just the Big 12 that we will get into here today. But we'll also dive into some ACC adjacent timelines in just a moment. But Chris, I wanted to get into this with you as well first, talking NIL for a high school athlete. Because I don't really recall a time that you and I have discussed on this show how this has impacted and will impact various states and athletes at the prep or high school level. And I think it was Florida that I saw most recently making the decision to allow NIL monetization rights for high school athletes. I've always thought it was kind of interesting in one way that a high school athlete had to be given permission in the first place to monetize anything, because I know they're not at that time under the umbrella of the NCAA. I know like one time, back in the olden days, like back in 1920, there was the thought of, well, if you monetize something, then now you're a professional and you've lost your amateur status. And by 1920, I mean like 2020, olden days like that. But I've always kind of, I guess, viewed a high school athlete as sort of, like a free American. And if you want to get paid to do something, you go get paid to do something. And that's it. But that's not actually the case, I guess. But where are we at with states allowing this, and kind of where do you see the future going with some of this?
Yeah, 33 states, I think, allow this. It's a state by state. It's a government issue on what they allow and how they choose to, set up the regulations within each state. And Florida made some news because Florida, Texas, California are big high school football states and all those things. I think Texas. I think you've been able to do this for a while now, because Quinn Ewers, I think he was tapping into like a drink supplement or like a
root beer or something like that.
Well, yeah, it was something like whenever he was at South Lake Carroll.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was allowed. It was like $1 million deal. Do I think that this is like really a thing or going to be like a big deal? No. I think again, this is my take. Other people may have a different opinion. This is going to be very rare, okay, where high school athletes take advantage of this, or where there's a market for it, I guess. We're seeing in the college space that this can determine where you play, if you're going to stay where you are, if you're going to leave, based on these kinds of arrangements and agreements and options available to you. That's not really, as prevalent in the high school space. I mean, some states you can go play for any high school you want, and there's no ramifications. You can play for 3 or 4 different high schools in 3 or 4 years of your high school career. In the state of Texas, you can't do that. The UIL has rules and in place, so it's not a free for all. Because I don't even know what that would look like if you just said, yeah, you can go play for any high school you want. I don't really know what all that would look like. But that's why I just don't gather that, because I think what we're seeing at some point, there's only so much money. And I think that originally the NIL, name, image, and likeness, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but when we first started this, it was, hey man, you can go buy that jersey in the campus bookstore. Right. We're so far past that. Yeah. Or, hey, I can do an autograph session and I can get paid for it. Or I can do a commercial for. When's the last time you saw a commercial for any college athlete? Local, national? I mean,
I guess the NCAA tournament, there were like a couple with national brands.
And,
it was
and they're
weird.
very rare.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, there's some exceptions. Like, I mean, the Tim Tebow, like a Cam Newton, a Patrick Mahomes, even when he was here, but I'm trying to think of like, if you could say any college athlete in Lubbock that is worth paying big dollars to get on TV or to have an autograph session. I mean, how small is that list? I mean,
yeah, tiny.
Yeah, Jarrett Culver, Michael Crabtree. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing names out there. I don't know. Zach Thomas back in the day. I'm just so. My point is that I just don't know if there's a huge market for this high school wise. But I do think what the premise of it being allowable is that if there is that market now, we're not going to prevent it. In some of the states are saying, hey, well, we're not doing this. But now if somebody wants to go to the high school quarterback and say, man, I'm gonna pay this kid, he's gonna wear my stuff, or he's gonna do a commercial with me, or he's gonna advertise this product or whatever, knock yourself out. Now it's not, I guess in more states than not, it's now something that if that exception does occur, go for it, man. Do your thing. I'm sure in Florida, I don't know exactly the rules in high school athletics in the state of Florida. If you've got free reign to kind of go play for wherever you want, there's a lot of states that are like that. Texas is not one of them, but I could see where that would be an inducement or an enticement or we'll just like the college stuff, like we'll NIL you, man. If you come on over, man, we need a quarterback. What do you say? That kind of deal. So
I'm wondering if there has been, I don't recall, but one successful endorsement in the sense that it actually led to a consumer or new customer. And I don't really mean like the large brands that we saw, like NCAA tournament. If you had a superstar that was out there, I don't know.
Like our man from Oakland that was bombing the threes and he ended up with a deal.
But I mean, really for the business.
Yeah.
And we all knew it would be a farce to begin with, but it was so much of a farce that I feel like we don't even see those anymore where, guys would be tweeting on their social media like, hey, go get this snow cone at my favorite snow cone place. And it didn't really work out. I don't feel like we see it anymore. You have seen like athletes across the board, almost across the board, with like some branded hoodies or sweatshirts or T-shirts or whatever. And I don't think any of those have really materialized into a whole lot. At least they have the opportunity, and I don't begrudge anybody for trying to make a go at it. But
I'll tell you who dabbles in that stuff as much as anybody. Because there are plenty of players that have, hey man, you can put my NIL on a T-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, or whatever. Yeah. But I tell you where you see those more than anywhere else, it's with fellow teammates that are supporting each other. I mean, there's a recent pick, a Texas Tech basketball pick where Kerwin Walton was looking at Darion Williams, and Darion Williams has Kerwin Walton's name, image, and likeness on a T-shirt. Okay. And I guess this is Kerwin Walton gear. And so, Chris Beard used to do that all the time. He's like, man, I'm going to buy a shirt from every one of my dudes that's doing that to show that I support them. And then I'm going to wear them to practice. It was like a culture thing. And so I think Joey's done that as well. If any of his guys were dabbling in some of the gear, but yeah, like
that's kind of tough, man. Tough to make it work. Like I'm making cash off my shirt, but damn, now I got to go buy your shirt. Is that what they call it? Self-sustaining economy? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, and nobody's turning into the next Lululemon by
not yet, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's a very small. Yeah.
All right. Before we get out of here, Chris, I'm curious as to why you told me to make note of the date August 15th. What's going down? First, today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and keep that ride or die ride on the road, or elevate your car's game to the next level of performance. Superchargers, exhaust kits, LED headlights, roof racks, and accessories of all kinds to fit your style. Whether it's power, speed, or design you're into, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts to perfectly fit what you need. Just head over to ebay.com/motors now, where you'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and at no risk because of eBay's guaranteed fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit just right every time, or your money back, keeping you burning rubber and not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to keep your ride or die on the road and moving your life forward at ebay.com/motors. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply.
Okay, so we've had these conversations in these Big 12 weekly segments, and people pay attention to the Florida State and Clemson and the ACC and the uncertainty there. And, a lot of curiosity about that league's future and existence. And, we had Brett Yormark recently say, we are open for business. We've never been more open for business. Are we actively seeking expansion candidates? No, but we're open for business. Did I mention we're open for business? And so I was going to mention the date of August the 15th. That's, a couple of months away, because I think that is a very pertinent date in the ACC's future. I think that you'll likely hear a lot of reporting about that at ACC Media Days about said date. And what is significant about that date is this. There's lawsuits going on. There's just, a lot of curiosity. We were talking, private equity and we'll use this private equity and they'll pay the exit fee and all this stuff. August 15th is when Florida State, a Clemson, or North Carolina, whomever, must tell the league, we are out. If they don't do this by said date, they are at least, locked into not only this season, but the following season as well. And so I think if you're curious about any sort of timetable or potential movement with the ACC, you'll get some sort of closure, as it relates to timetable within a few months. Like all hell could break loose, and okay, here we go, or it's okay, stand down for now. Stand down for now, yeah. Because at that point, if there's no announcement by August the 15th, and I think the ACC Media Days are 3 weeks prior to that, which I'm guessing a lot of conversations will come up then. And it's just so funny to me. Hey man, are you still suing? I guess really, or are you still suing everybody else in here? Because you're when you're going to the media days and you're asking the Florida State folks or the Clemson folks or whatever it may be, it's like this coexistence, but yet you're unhappy with the existence, but yet you're here smiling. But are you really? Are you frowning when it's kind of like that meme where there's the mad angry face, but then the picture in the front of it when he's just smiling. It's which one is it? So anyway, point being, I think you'll get some sort of idea about this ACC thing here coming up here pretty quick. And it doesn't mean you'll get the final answer, but at least you'll kind of know, okay, game on, or hey man, keep it on ice for a bit longer. We can keep talking about it and all those things. But that's why August the 15th is a significant date as it relates to the Big 12 weekly segment. And if we're shopping and we're not shopping and we talking NC State and Louisville and Pitt and I don't know who suits your fancy, but there you go.
Oh yeah, we're shopping and we got a big bag, baby. All right, Chris, appreciate the insight and the extra time as always, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Enjoyed it, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you early next week, folks.
Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. And the best way to help us grow the show is to comment anything below. So do that. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks for being out there. And we hope to see you back for the next round of Locked On Texas Tech.